Koenig.
So, Game of Thrones. Great show. What have you thought about the season thus far?
I really like this season a lot. I mean, there hasn't been a season that I didn't like, but I think there's something special about this season.
The drama.
It's so dramatic.
Yeah.
And it's kept me guessing. Every season keeps me guessing, but I feel like every time something crazy happens on this show, I'm like, what the F?
This season's been like that. The first season was a little rough for me to get through just because I was a constant struggle of trying to see who the hell is who and where the hell they're from. Because again, I didn't read the books. That's the background I come from.
Me too.
So I spent the first season going, all right, is he his brother? Is he her sister?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought they were brother, sister. Why are they doing that? Wait, hold on. What? This doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And then the second season, we got into a rhythm where I kind of knew who was with what clique.
Yeah.
You know, high school made sense.
Yes, exactly.
And then by third season, I'm like, all right, I am engaged. You got me. Yeah. And this season has been gut-wrenching from the beginning. So let's go through the first couple of episodes. What was one of the first big things that happened in the series?
So I think the biggest thing that happened was when Joffrey.
Yes, that was probably the first biggest thing that we had.
And that, I was watching the episode, and I love him as a character. Like, I think he's an amazing character.
He does a really great job of making you hate the crap out of him.
Such a jerk.
I hate him, yeah.
And that episode in particular, I was like, I hate him. I cannot wait till he dies. Like, I know he has to die at some point.
And then he dies.
And then he just died. And I was like, kind of sad in a way. Like,
no.
Because he's just this little kid. And he's like staring at his mom. And his mom's crying. And she can't do anything. You're like, he's just a jerky little kid.
I was the opposite. I enjoyed every minute of him dying. And I was like, this son of a bitch needed to die. And he died in the most like satisfying way possible. It was so gruesome and disgusting. At the end of the episode, I was thoroughly disgusted with myself for how much I enjoyed it. I was like, that was weird.
And they made him, that episode, I mean, he's always a jerk, but that, like, when he was making fun
It was a great send-off, right? It was like, they just let him do his thing, and it just, again, went to show how great of an actor this kid really is. Like, I want to see him more in future stuff, preferably in stuff that I won't hate him in.
Yeah.
But that was a great episode by him. Really great acting, really great scripting for him. Just awesome.
I agree completely. And I've just, as a side note, seen like interviews with him. He's like the sweetest kid. He doesn't even like acting. Like he doesn't really want to be an actor. He's just like I forget what he's like, going back to school for something. Just like a really nice little British kid.
And for the rest of his life, people will hate him for no reason.
Yeah, you horrible person. But yeah, that was definitely an excellent episode.
And that's what I think triggered the whole rest of the season. So we have Sansa Stark. She ends up going on her own journey. And then we have, obviously, Tyrion gets locked up. And then what was the next major thing that happened after that?
Well, I think maybe not like major in your face, but sort of subtle major has been this sort of character change by Jaime Lannister.
I like that he's a good guy now.
Yeah,
or at least he's coming off that way.
He's kind of coming around, except then there was that scene where he sort of rapes his sister.
That happened and on the tomb of their son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the internet made a big deal about that.
Yeah.
In the moment, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, this show is about shitty people doing shitty things.
Yeah.
So it just kind of fit with the bill for me. But then next morning when I woke up, I was like, oh, people really didn't like that.
Really angry about it.
Yeah.
And then it's because it was like he's sort of being a good guy and then he does that. But in a way, and I'm going to sound like a horrible person, like I hate her. And not that nobody deserves to be raped on the tomb of their dead son.
Yeah. When you put it like that, no.
But I almost was like, man, screw her. Like, I guess literally and figuratively.
She's going to be another person I'm curious to see. I want her to die. I want it to happen.
I cannot stand her.
And so that happened. And then I think the big part for me was this whole Sansa Stark, Lord Baelish bit, which was really cool. Because the whole time you're thinking, well, who's behind this?
Yeah.
Who killed this? Turns out it's Lord Baelish just carrying out his own little...
But why? Here's my question. Every week I'm like, but why is he... Like, just because he hates the Lannisters? Just because he feels like an outcast?
Here's the thing. He seems too smart to do that, right? This guy's like very like, it's got to benefit me in 120 ways.
And
not just one.
And how is it benefiting him, do you think? I'm not sure. I really, like, this has sort of confused me a little bit.
Well, here's my take on it. So with everything I've seen so far in this storyline, you see this guy unwind.
Yeah.
Out through the whole series that we've been watching him, he's been very cold, calculated. You never see him display emotion because he takes it out of the equation. That's what I like about this guy. He's very unemotional. But here, he did the most emotional thing any person could do, and it was really one of the biggest things that could have happened in the whole world of the Game of Thrones. Is he goes up and he kills the most powerful person supposedly the powerful person in the whole place.
Right.
Why? Because he murdered the woman he loved, right?
Yeah.
So the woman he loved was Mama Stark.
Yeah.
Right? So Mama Stark ended up dying in a pretty bad scene, which we remember from last season. The Red Wedding was the beginning of the end of everything.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that Game of Thrones was not a happy-go-lucky show at all. And I was going to expect more of this to happen.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And then you saw him kill the sister of Mama Stark.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff there.
That was a crazy scene, that whole scene. Because she is psychotic.
Yeah, she is.
And I had forgotten that she is basically the reason that everything, like this whole thing started. So I'm trying to remember it. Really? I don't remember all the characters' names. But so her husband was the hand of the king.
Oh, okay.
And then she started this kind of like, either she killed him, I think.
And then that's when Ned Stark
and
had to go and become
and be the hand of the king.
Dear God. Okay.
So I didn't remember this. I will credit my husband who read the books. Was like, that's sort of
You're dropping knowledge on me. Yeah, this is
rolling with everything.
Okay.
So it's almost like really nice and fitting
that he takes it right back and he nips it all in the bud. Yeah. Wow.
And kills her.
And then of course you see this more deranged psychotic bit with like what he wants from Sansa, right? Yeah. So it's like, why even bring her away?
Exactly.
And then the whole kiss thing happened, and you're kind of like, all right, you're being that weird guy.
Now you're being creepy.
The weird creepy uncle, the molester uncle. Like, don't be that guy.
Yes, exactly.
So that part, and then the last time we saw Sansa Stark before the finale, so finale is this Sunday, was when she flips the script and she kind of becomes okay with being the constant captive.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting to me.
I thought so too. I really thought she was going to point a finger at him and sell him down the river. Yeah,
that little inquiry bit that happened, that was really cool with the other heads. And she was just like, he was a good person. He helped me out. And then I forgot how the dialogue was so great. I wish I could recite it here. But he was like, it's better to like side with the enemy you know rather than the enemy you don't know. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And that's really true. And I think that that's what she's going for. She has been through hell.
You know, when we first introduced to this character, I was like, what a spoiled little brat.
Exactly. You hated
Whatever.
her
You just wanted to
first.
smack her, right? You're like, just bad kid. You should have been slapped by your mom a long time ago. But now you're just at a point where like, I feel so bad for you.
She watched her dad's head get chopped off. That's crazy.
And then
by her potential future husband, who then was like, never mind, I'm not going to marry you. Why don't you marry this midget instead?
Yeah, why don't you marry this midget instead? And he's humiliated her a million times over. God. I mean, just really, this girl's been through so much that you're just like, I kind of hope that when Joffrey first died, I was like, I wouldn't mind if you just did it.
Yeah, I thought that she had some. I didn't think because she's just not that type of a character. Mm-hmm. But I thought I was hoping that she got some sort of like, I don't know, resolution or just felt good about him dying in a way. And it seems like she kind of does.
Well, okay, so here's another thing. Now that you're mentioning that, I saw this nerd fanboy meme the day after the Joffrey death happened where they froze images and they showed you what happened. Now, I assumed this was from people who read the books, but they were saying that Baelish was in cahoots with that really nice girl that Joffrey ended up marrying, right? And then the scheming grandmother. I dig her too. I dig them both.
I love the grandma.
Apparently, they were all in cahoots with each other.
In retrospect, it makes sense. And the daughter too, like the one that he was going to marry.
The daughter, I don't think so, because what ended up happening was, and I wish I could show it to you, but they show clips where the grandmother comes over to Sansa Stark and like gives her a hug or something, and she ends up taking this like vial off of her neck because she has this big necklace on that the big goof thing guy gave her. The guy that she ended up saving.
Yeah.
And so in that was the poison, because then they were showing the placement of his glass.
Yeah.
Throughout the thing. And so the glass was at one point near Sansa, but then towards the end, right before he took the last sip, it was near the grandmother and her daughter.
Right.
And so that's where they say that, like, because then when they showed a flashback back to her necklace, it was missing one giant jewel thing that had the poison in it. So it was a grandmother that did it. And I remember an episode or two later, the grandma said something.
Yeah, she was like,
that kind of hinted at something like that to the daughter.
Yeah, didn't she say, like, I would never let you marry that guy?
Exactly. Yeah. And then that's when I remembered that little thing that I saw that the fanboys made, and I was like, oh, they were right. I thought they were just being crazy, like, conspiracy theorists or whatever. But I was like, huh.
But I wonder, like, little convoluted for me, that whole thing, like, did the grandma think then that she was going to marry the younger brother who was then to be king? Because if not, like, then she threw away her granddaughter's chances of being queen. Like, bastard that Joffrey is or not, like, that's like the
But technically, weren't they already married? Like, that's another question I had that went unanswered. Like, technically she's married, so but she technically is the heir to the, but not really? Like, how
then they didn't, like, do it.
Oh, so that's what made it all like legit.
I think in this world that makes your marriage legit.
Legit, okay. Because I was like, well, she's a queen anyway.
Because now she has to marry the little brother,
who seems really manipulatable, but really nice kid, right?
Yeah, and she's a great character too. I adore her. She's super character.
She's super cool. But then here's the thing, though. So how would have Baelish done it otherwise, right? So people still want to know how it was done. So that always looked legit to me, especially with all the pictures that they took and everything of the show, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. It's a little bit of,
it's a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, but I guess that's okay. This is a
but it has to be, because otherwise they never, beyond that little blip, they never alluded to anything else or no other clues that they gave us or anything. Lord Baelish never revisited it. He's like, it's done. Yeah. Let's move on. Yeah. Let's go kill this other lady.
Basically.
Let's throw her down this infinite pit.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
So what do you think about him sort of saying that the kid, now I'm forgetting, so Aunt Stark's crazy little son who needs to grow up, who's been like still nursing off of her, and he's like 10 or something like that.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, so now Lord Baelish kind of wants to build him up into like the next...
To die?
Yeah, like, what do you think about that?
I'm curious to see, because that leaves a door open to the next season. Obviously, they're not going to address it in the next episode.
No.
But he's playing a bigger game, and he's playing it with the whole Vale. Yeah. So that whole kingdom. I think I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know if he wants to take it over or what.
Take everything over, maybe.
Yeah, but they're like, the kid needs to ride into battle. I'm like, the kid's going to die.
Yeah, that kid is totally
like, if he had Legos, he would be playing with Legos now.
Yes.
Like, it's ridiculous. So, I don't know. He's a really interesting character. This season, they've really let his character expand.
Yeah.
I dig it. I really dig it.
I agree. So what are your predictions? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I don't know. For one, I have to express my very, very deep malcontent for the last episode, right? So there's nothing wrong with that episode. It's just, how do you let the Viper and the Mountain episode happen where Oberyn dies, and then you don't even say anything about it the next episode?
Yeah. Okay, so that, if you want to talk about the Oberyn dying, like,
that was huge.
That was awful. Of everything that's happened in this show, like Red Wedding size
bad too.
Bad. I thought that was so bad. Like, you just loved him so much. You were rooting for him. You were rooting for Tyrion. He did it. He beats this guy who raped his sister and her children. Like, what? And then just
only to become like
squashed.
Literally squashed. And I was like, come on, man. Like, this show, again, we have to talk about the psychology of it all, right? This show doesn't give you any gratification at all. Just when you, like, I was at that moment where I was like, he's taunting him. He's doing the crazy Parker acrobatics. Yeah. He's so athletic, right? And he's like, haha, I drink my wine before I go. And you're like, oh, this guy's so cool. This guy has to live. And he was one of the coolest characters introduced this season by far.
Yeah, I think so too.
Only to have that ending happen. And I was just like, again, my like heart fell into my stomach. And I was like, why do you do that? Why can't you just let me have it?
Yeah.
Just let them kill the big guy.
And that's why it's a good show, because it doesn't, like, it kills off main characters, like, right and left. Half of the main characters have been killed.
It's emotionally draining for me that I don't know how much more I could take of it. Like, I mean, I'm going to watch it till the end, but I don't want to, though. It's so taxing for the watcher. So that happened, and the whole time you've been rooting for Tyrion, right? He's had these great monologues all season. They built him up to be the new guy to root for.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, the Dragon Queen, she's been on her Shazam the whole time.
Yeah.
It's been cool.
It's been a little slow with her, I feel like.
It's sort of a boiling thing that I think is going to come into the main front of maybe next season or something.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, that's not even worth talking about, even though they've spent a decent amount of time on her in the season. And then you got this Tyrion thing, and you thought it would work.
Yeah, you really did. Like the episode where Oberyn comes and sits down and is like, I will be
your champion.
And I was like, yes!
They ended that episode, awesome. Right? And then they went on this 2-week gap where you didn't see anything, and the whole time you're just like, God, that guy's gonna do it. Yeah. I don't care how big and strong the other guy is, this guy's gonna do it. Yeah. It's awesome. He's fighting for a cause, and then Tyrion did that whole spiel about how Cersei, from like the time he was born, just wanted him dead, and that just sat so like differently with Oberyn, and he was like, I will fight for you. Yeah. I hate the Lannisters, but you are not one of the Lannisters. Yeah, you're good. And that was that really pinnacle point where it kind of separated them all. Yeah. And I was like, oh wow, that's awesome.
And then
that happened. And then, one thing about the last episode. I mean, last episode was cool, right? The giant war stuff, right? It was all about they had to do it. It was all the Black Castle. I didn't want that though. Right. It was just bad placement of the episode. It was like, give me this later or after. Just don't mess with. You started something and you have to see it through.
Totally
you have to
why
show
they
it
did
through.
It. They were like, and time out. Now here's over at Castle.
Yeah. Meanwhile, no, you can't do that. What is wrong with you people? Like, these guys, in terms of writing, do stuff that you're not supposed to for shows and movies or whatever. You're not supposed to do this, but they do it. And they get away with it. Yeah. Craziest thing. And then, almost, if you watch the show, they almost killed Jon Snow. Yeah. Last episode. Yeah. For a second, I thought they were going to kill him. And again, I'm not the hugest Jon Snow fan. Like, I don't particularly care what's...
kind of the last of the Starks to like,
have the vengeance.
Have the vengeance, right? Yeah.
So I'm rooting him for that, but I don't particularly care for a storyline at the moment. Like, what's going on at the Wall? I'm like, it's far less interesting than what's going on in the Capitol, right? But for a second there, she had his arrow on him, and I was like, shit, they're going to kill this guy. Because, the tagline for the season is, all men must die. Yep. And I was like, crap, they're going to kill this guy. She ends up dying.
Yes.
I was like, okay.
Which I was okay with.
First woman to die the whole season. Yeah. Like, not bad. I'm okay with it. But I didn't put it past them, though. I was like, I would not be surprised if they killed him.
And I wasn't even like, I guess Jon Snow's dying now.
Yeah, me too. I was like, well, this sucks. Why do they gotta kill him too?
Yeah. But I'm glad that they didn't, because I actually do. I think he's a pretty good character. I think they need to get him off the wall and get him back into like the main.
I thought they were gonna switch it up, because Hansine, I don't know the name, but his younger brother who can't walk, they had almost a run in this season, and I was like, that's awesome, because you want the Starks to just come together, right? Yeah, like you just feel so bad for the whole family.
They've been torn apart. Their whole
and especially little Ari too, the little girl who's
she was like right there. Her sister's there. Like, I was so mad when. So, just if you hadn't been following along, the wolf brings her to her aunt's house. Yeah. And her aunt had just died, but her sister's there. But nobody says, "Oh, you're Arya Stark. Your sister's here."
And then they just end the episode with her like maniacally laughing, and I'm like, "The hell does that mean? Are you either going or coming? Like, what's going on here? Don't just laugh." Yeah. Game of Thrones.
I know. So predictions.
Predictions. So I agree with another meme I saw on the internet that says, if Tyrion dies, we riot. So my prediction is Tyrion's not going to die.
I don't think he's going to die.
There is something or another is going to happen in the realm of Game of Thrones where he will be spared, or something even bigger happens that's going to
exactly
bottleneck the whole issue.
Like, maybe there's been this sort of underlying story about the now, of course, I'm forgetting their names. The other guys fighting for the throne. So whose brother died, who was their king originally, and the other king is trying to reclaim the throne, right? And he's been at like the World Bank.
Yeah,
and they've sort of this story has been like kind of in the background, and I don't know why. So I feel like that has to have something.
Baratheon.
Yes, Baratheon.
The Baratheon house.
Right. So I feel like something, like, are they gonna get enough money to like
mount
bankrupt? Because like the Lannisters are broke.
Yeah.
Basically the Capitol's like needs money. Now this, like, I don't know. That's my prediction. Something like that's gonna happen. I don't know what. Obviously,
I don't even know where to start with the prediction. I honestly don't know. Like, you're right. They haven't actually brought Baratheon in an episode lately. Yeah. So it's only fitting that they would bring him in this last episode. there has to be a reason they're doing that thing with Theon Greyjoy. You know, where they've turned him into like this house dog, which is totally weird.
So weird. That is
I'm like, what's going on with that? What are they trying to get at with this?
Because those guys are also trying to take over. So now they sort of have taken over the North in a sense. Yeah, are they gonna? Because the Game of Thrones has to continue to be played. It can't be like, and the Lannisters won, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, that's the end of that.
Definitely not. Now there's just different players in it.
That's true. And again, you have to kind of look into their patterns. If they've shown a certain character recently, they're not going to show them again. So we can safe to say we won't see Jon Snow in this finale.
I agree.
He had a whole episode to himself, which no one's ever had an episode to themselves.
Although in the scenes, I feel like we saw like a minute of him in the forest or something like that. The scenes never are. What gives everything away is previously on, and like they have like a clip from something you haven't seen in like 3 weeks.
You're like, oh, that happened.
Oh, you're gonna focus on that.
Exactly. So I feel like it's gonna have something to do with Theon Greyjoy and that whole storyline, and then the Baratheons.
Yes.
I don't think we're gonna see the Dragon Queen this next episode.
I don't think
she is gonna have nothing to do with the capital.
Yeah.
They're obviously gonna focus some bit on the Lannisters.
Oh yeah.
I can pretty much safely say that I don't think there's going to be a war.
No.
Because they just had a big war sequence now. Because remember last season, the last episode was the Battle of Blackwater or whatever, right? Big thing. Tyrion almost died. That sort of bit. I don't think we're going to see that here. I think we're going to see a very subtle ending that's going to elude something big. And I don't think they're going to converge. We're going to see our separate storylines like we normally do. We're not going to see Theon Greyjoy somehow end up in the capital or anything like that. They're going to come to one bigger thing. Like either the Baratheons and the Greyjoys have a war, or they bound together.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, oh crap! Here's the big thing. We have this party from the north. We got the Dragon Lady from the south. Both approaching next season into the capital. And who gets it first? Like that could possibly be a thing.
I agree.
But as far as Tyrion goes, I have no idea what they're going to do with this guy.
He can't die.
I mean, he can't die. I will riot if he dies. I will riot if he dies. It's as simple as that.
I hope he doesn't die.
They're going to find some weird, odd loophole to keep him alive a little bit longer.
I feel like maybe Jaime will be involved. I don't know.
I think he'll have to, because now this is the point where, or they might do this drawn-out thing where might get, I think he's supposed to get hung or something, right?
Yeah.
So they might hang him, and then there's this big scene that happens, and maybe Jamie like cuts off the rope and takes him, and like they run off or something of the sort. Like something like that might happen.
I hope so, because you kind of like that they've been like hanging out as brothers in a nice way.
You finally see that they're brothers.
Yeah.
All you don't really see the sibling love ever in this show with any of them properly, right? And so this was the first season where you saw like a heart to heart where they do care for each other.
Yeah.
These two at least.
Yeah.
Cersei's just on another level of epic evilness. Like Maleficent 2. Yes, Cersei's Revenge.
Yeah.
Just, dear God.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. I can't wait. Like, I wish it was already on.
Too. Who do you think might die? Because they're going to kill somebody. They have to kill somebody for the...
I think if somebody dies, like, I don't know. It could be Cersei.
You can never... I don't think it'll be Cersei. I would like for it to, but they're gonna draw out that one too.
Tywin, the dad Lannister, maybe
that could be something. I could definitely see them killing him off because he's the only source of order in the capital. Yeah. If they kill him, then it's just like what's gonna happen to the capital?
It would be like totally a mess, and then Tyrion wouldn't be killed. I mean, Cersei would still want him to die, but I don't. But then they wouldn't because he's the only voice of reason in the capital. Yeah. Cersei couldn't run it. Yeah,
you're right. That could be an angle they play, and then they haven't shown the daughter and the grandmother in a while. They're there and they're still scheming. You have to always consider the people you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
and then the eunuch.
My favorite character on the show.
Really? He's your favorite character?
Yeah. I just don't understand him at all. He's so conniving and creepy and but then I feel bad for him. They haven't
given him any scope this season.
No, he really hasn't been much.
He's not playing his games or anything, and I'm wondering there's a reason why.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones is too smart to not just be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna not worry about him for a while. No. There's stuff going on. Yeah. They just haven't told you yet.
Yes, exactly.
So he's doing something, so I wouldn't even put it past them to bring him into the equation.
No, I see everybody kind of... I have no idea. I really, literally...
I have no idea,
This is one of the few shows that I watch that I'm like, I have no clue what's going to happen.
You're right. And there's no plausible scenarios. Like, everything we might have thrown out there to be a possibility, none of it could happen.
They'll wind up, killing Arya.
Why? They killed a child. Right? They haven't shown her in a while.
Yeah.
Well, they showed her 3 episodes ago, so she may come up again.
Come back.
Baelish has had too much exposure already in the show, so we're not going to see anything with them.
I think his story for next season is kind of set up. He's going to take this kid and try to take over. Because now he's sort of that castle has a lot of, he has like a huge amount of people under him now. Now with that mom out of the way, he sort of could run that whole show. Yeah.
So that's all good. What other storylines are there that haven't been discussed? So Arya, who knows? I still don't have any idea where they're going with that.
No, I don't either.
The kid who can't, the premonition kid.
Oh, yeah.
I still don't know where they're properly going with that story.
No, there's something,
they're heading out while most people are heading inwards, so I don't quite get that.
And they have to go find this tree, right?
They got to find like a mystical tree. So that's just kind of like okay.
Yeah.
I'll worry about it when you guys do something really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then the queen too, she lost her right-hand man. I was like, I didn't really get that. Her story's been a little weird this season. Like the dragon lady?
Yeah.
Remember her right-hand man? The bearded guy who's in love with her too?
That made me very sad.
It did too. I was like, this
I
would
have forgiven him.
He's one of the good characters of the show that I've liked.
Yes, I agree.
And he was selling secrets, but then he's like, I love you.
Yeah, like he had to at first. Like I understood. Like he got ousted. He was trying to like get his way back in. Then he sort of had a change of heart and realized she was a very good queen.
Yeah, but this is in line with what Game of Thrones does, right?
Exactly.
So when you see a dream team being assembled, like they don't let anyone have the Miami Heat here, right? So for a little while, they just don't let anybody do it, right? The Red Wedding happened because you thought, you're like the Mama Stark and the older Stark boy, they're gonna do it. No, they're just gonna kill him.
Yeah.
They just tear apart these franchises. So here, the Dragon Lady setup is really good. She's got these 2 senior people,
who are
and now she's got this
helping her out.
And they got this one sexy, like, assassin guy that she has and flirts with her.
Yes.
So it seems like she's got the whole setup, but now they're chipping away at her thing, even before she's even started to do anything proper.
Exactly.
So it's like that goes right in line with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
We might actually see a dissolution or a giant piece of her empire hacked away.
Well, now she's lost, like, her top advisor. She's got the other advisor, but he was really
looking
out for her. I thought he was, and I was surprised
We're looking out for him, but we don't know that much about him. We haven't been with him as long as this other guy has, right?
Yeah.
They've been through the desert with each other. They've
been through dragon baby making.
He's the closest thing to the father the dragons have, man. He's the closest thing to the...
He is the dragon's adopted father.
And then you're just going to oust the like that? Like, come on.
Yeah, that made me sad. And I like her. I was surprised. But I guess she, in a way, I was like, I respect that. Like, you have to do what you have to do.
You have to do it. But I don't know. I think there's other motives there. Like, there's never been a time where we've actually seen the show take advantage of her naivete.
No, I don't think she is, though. I think she's like...
Really?
You think she's kind of a naive person?
I think she's a bit naive because she's new to the queen thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think for her first timer, she's kind of crushing it and killing it. But you're going to make some mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Like, thus far, she's liberated all these guys and these slaves, and she's taken over these cities. Like, she's doing a good job. Like, eventually you're going to do some stuff wrong, right?
Yeah.
So more and more, you've kind of seen her rely on a little bit more counsel now.
Yeah.
So,
and this last episode, right? Like, he was like, don't do that, do this. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
She was going to kill everybody. Oh, she was going to kill all the slaves, owners. And he was like, don't do that. Show them some
mercy.
And so she followed his lead.
Yeah. And so that's an interesting dynamic. And I think they still need to cook her character a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't think she's ready for battle just yet.
No.
They have to introduce some gray into her.
Yeah.
Because she's too white. She's too good right now.
Yeah.
And this show doesn't allow that.
Nope.
It doesn't. You either get killed or you get corrupted. And she has to get corrupted a bit, I think. I don't know.
Or eaten by a dragon.
Or eaten by a dragon. Yes. They haven't shown the dragons in a while, actually.
No.
They don't actually highlight the dragons as much as you would think.
I would have them in every episode if I made this
show. Just no reason. Just
hanging out, eating
she's like
turkeys.
Listening to the villagers' quest while they're just eating like lambs and goats. And you're like, why not? Or she's sitting on the dragons and that's her throne.
Constantly remind people that you are the mother of dragons.
I think the show was like, well, we don't have the budget for dragons in every episode.
Exactly.
We kind of have to spare it where we can.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there are predictions for this week's episode. Hope you guys tune in because I know I will.
Can't wait to watch it.
And it's going to be amazing.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you guys next time on OTC Podcast.